Hello, and thank you for your interest in Salterra University, which used to be SEO University. A little bit of background. First of all, my name is Terry Samuels. I am the owner of Salterra Digital Services and also SEO Spring Training, Digital Marketing Conference, and then, of course, the university. A little bit of background. So, I've had the university for about 7 years now, and I originally got it as a place to put Salterra's standing operating procedures, our SOPs, into a system that I could put our employees through and have a way to not only show them the curriculum, but then track their process and our progress and help them move along to become good team members for Salterra. About 6 years ago, maybe before COVID, we decided to start doing some online classes. So I think I did 12 online classes with about 10 people each. And I taught on page and schema. And then a little bit after that, I did a schema course and I had that for a long time. Well, about a year ago, I started adding more of our SOPs to the system, mainly for, of course, our customer, excuse me, our employees, and and started just making this thing grow bigger and bigger and bigger. When AI came along, of course, I was able to take those, whether they be most of the stuff I did in SOPs, I did through voice, like using a system like Dragon and stuff like that. So I was able to take these SOPs now and put them into these systems and find out not only what was missing, but what can be enhanced, what could we do better as our standard operating procedures. And so again, this thing just kept growing and growing and growing. And so about 8 months ago, 7 months ago, I decided to just add this to a full blown university now. So instead of just teaching on page and schema, I decided to go ahead and let's teach everything. Let's teach everything we do, even the stuff that we don't do but want to do. So and this the whole industry shift as far as as far as everything's happening, what we have in our SOPs maybe from a year ago maybe doesn't fit today, or maybe it needs to be highly modified in order for it to fit. So, anyways, that's a little bit of background about this. So, but this is now a full blown, I call it a digital marketing university. So it has stuff in there for social, has stuff in there for setting up high level, has stuff in there for setting up Google ads and Facebook ads and all kinds of stuff. And it's going to be a growing system. Right now, there's 34 courses. I'm expecting it's going to grow to 40-ish, maybe even more by the end of the year. So this is an ongoing university, so to speak. I'm also invited other people to come and put their education in the university. So hopefully in the future, you'll be able to see other people's curriculum that they teach also here. So I'm just going to walk you through a little bit of things real quick to kind of give you an overview of the university itself, and then we'll get into a little bit more specifics. We also are looking for sponsors right now. We've got some pretty cool sponsor packages. Right now, of course, our marketing conference sponsors it, and then I have a software division to where I actually build CRMs and a bunch of portals and stuff for clients and customers. But right now, we are looking for sponsors. But basically, this thing is built for whether you're a small business, you own your own plumbing, or you own your own local business, whatever, you can definitely get everything out of this university. It's also built for freelancers, agencies, the whole nine yards. So we really put a lot of time, effort, and energy in who our target market would be. And it's pretty much anybody that wants to learn how to do this and maybe do it on their own, or maybe they're currently doing it and want to do it better or different. There's lots of ways to say rank in this business, so there's stories out there of people like me, I rank with on page, other people rank with off page. So it's all there, and in some instances, depending on competition, it all is needed. So, we're going to walk you through all this stuff real quick. So we definitely get into the whole stuff about AI and all that search, which is the big shift right now. Technical SEO and schema, all that stuff is still super important. Excuse me. Local and e-commerce type of stuff, content authority, conversion, and web. I spent a lot of time in the conversion rate optimization section. automations, video stuff, YouTube optimization, all that kind of stuff. So it's more than just a library, because this thing will be growing. So we will be having quizzes. We will be having some type of certificates in the future. I'm not sure how that looks. I don't want to say that, hey, you can't do this job or this industry unless you do this course. That's not the intent at all. So I don't want to make it seem like that you have to do this to be a great, marketer or whatever. It will definitely help. Different tools that I have that I'm offering through the whole system. There's learning paths. You're going to have your own progress dashboard, so you don't lose your place. We got a whole bunch of courses I'll show you here in a second. But the biggest thing is just, and you can click around, so you don't have to go course 1 to get to course 2 to get to course 3. If you want to go straight to e-commerce optimization, go straight to that course. There's no locks or anything on that right now. So when you browse the courses, there right now, these are all in order, in the way that, if you were a brand new person to this industry. So obviously setting up your analytics and your measurements and all that stuff, and then getting into the search optimization. This is all the local SEO. This is your GBPs. This is reviews. This is all the stuff that you need to do to get up and start ranking in the map pack. Here's my advanced schema courses, and you can see how big these are. So, there's 121 lessons here in 13 mods. So, and again, you stop at a point and you leave and you come back, exactly where you stopped, so you can start back again. So, we're also getting, here's ecom, topical authority, YouTube optimization. Here's the generative engine optimization, CRO, and then go high level. I've got these that are marked coming soon. The courses are ready, but I'm a stickler in quality. So I've got a 3-process quality gauge before I release these, and all of these are in that 3rd stage. So as these 3rd stages, and these are not typically in order. I'm working with a couple different other people to help me figure out which ones we should be doing before we get in. So I try to give the best value at the beginning of what everybody's looking for. So, but once these things go through the 3rd stage of the quality control, then they're released and they're live. Every time something goes live, you'll get an alert on your dashboard that, the reputation management course was just released or whatever. So, but you can go through here and see some of the courses that, that I've already been working on. I've already been planning. There's going to be, like I said, other courses coming that I have on my whiteboard that I want to do, especially around the whole vibe coding thing, stuff like that we're all kind of getting involved in. Once you log into the system, this is kind of what your dashboard will look like. And it depends on which level you purchase. So there's 3 different levels. I'll show you those in a second, but this is the ultimate level. This is like the top level. And so I have add-ons for the middle level and the top level. And the add-ons I'll show you here in a second, but I've got a content generator and image generator that I built for Salterra that we've been using for months. And they're really special things that I'll show you. I've also got my schema generator, which I've had a bunch of people in and testing and stuff and used. And then I have my on-page audit tool. These 4 things were probably the first things we built for Salterra to help us make us more efficient, and, have the same repetitive results over and over again. So I also have quick links in here. These will all be affiliate links. So I will be recommending tools that I use and recommend for other people to use. So these will be in there also at any level. So any level will have this stuff. The add-ons you'll show depending on which level you get. The number of lessons you finished this week, how many minutes you spent there. And then the quizzes. The quizzes are not there yet. They will be probably there, I'm thinking, towards the end of August and September. But right now they're not there yet. And then it'll just keep track of your streak. When you click into a course, it's pretty simple. Okay, so you click into it, and then you can just start from the very beginning. So this one goes into measurement before the tools and all this stuff. So you can see you don't have to click out of a module to go back into a module. So the key takeaways is this is like the the cliff notes of this lesson, so to speak. Okay, so but you can see it. You have to measure your stuff to be able to show what you're doing is working or not working. Blah blah blah. I'm not going to get too much into that. But the whole idea, though, is it's a very simple context to follow. You can start a discussion with other people within the school. You can ask a question directly to me. You can do all kinds of stuff. Okay. And then, of course, if you're stuck, you can contact me directly. Once you mark it complete, it takes you to the next level. So it's that simple. We will be introducing videos to these, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's over 1,500 lessons. There will not be a video for everything, but there will be videos for certain things that I think will help you guys as far as putting all the aspects together. And plus, in our Facebook group, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff on individual lessons and stuff like that, either in our calls or through posts. So that's kind of the way the system looks. So people have been asking me for the past couple of weeks, and I've had this in beta for 3 weeks now, and always, which level should they purchase? So I wanted to have 3 levels. So the first level is just the whole university on its own, all the lessons. So 34 modules, over 1,500 lessons, all that stuff. And it's $149 a month, and then that's what you get. There will be a private Facebook group, and then you will be on the monthly calls with me, and if there's more instructors in the future. The professional one is the full university, plus you get the content generator and image generator, which I'll show you those in a second. And then this group will get bi-weekly Zoom calls. And then the premium, is everything in professional. So it's the content and image tool, added in the schema generator and the on-page tool, and those are going to have weekly Zoom calls. So again, I want to make the value to whatever level you're at. If you're already doing great with content and images through AI, perfect. If you want to talk to me and just try to get the schema tool by itself, let me know. I'm pretty flexible in that type of stuff. So, but once you choose your plan, then it'll take you into, and it'll show the right dashboard, with what you have access to. All right. So the content tool, again, this is one of the first things that I built almost a year ago now. Actually, no, it's probably about 7-8 months. So somewhere in there. But anyway, so I wanted a content tool to do a couple different things. One is I wanted a content tool to write in different voices depending on what the content was for. So I have voices in here from, really popular people that, do a lot of writing, and they do a lot of, teaching how to write, teaching how to structure content and stuff like that. So all that's included in here. Another thing I wanted to do is I wanted to have individual clients, so I can have an individual voice, an individual, tone, and individual stuff. So when I do write for the different clients, it comes out more specifically designed for them and their type of system, their voice, how they go about things. So another thing that we do with the whole setup is I track the content as far as how good the content output is. I also needed to have schema written with the content output. So I'll show you that here in a second. You come in here, this is Salterra's obviously. So you can come in here, you put in all the different CTA options, you put in the description of the brand, FAQ topics, stuff like that, thought leadership, brand voice. I get into the different logos and the colors and all the different stuff for the brand for reporting. I tie in the Google Drive. Here's the content I've done so far. And then I can push WordPress, publish it into a draft if I want to. I typically don't do that because I'm a stickler with using Grammarly Pro. So we typically will throw it up in the Google Drive, Grammarly Pro it, humanize it, which is another thing. There's also a humanizer in here. That's becoming the huge buzzword, which is awesome. But yeah, we built a humanizer in here a while ago just to make sure that the content doesn't come out looking like AI content. That's the biggest thing. So to give you an idea what the content output looks like, this is a piece of content on a local page we were doing. Don't pay attention to my client. Anyway, so this is the content. It comes up. I'm a big stickler with key takeaways at the top. If you've ever seen me teach content, this is one of my big things I do. We do find a lot of AI overviews come from that. And then it goes into, just the content itself. So this content is generated through a prompting system, which I'll show you. I show you in the school and the university. And so it comes out the same things every time. So, all the different areas we served. I do put these in here, but again, if you ever teach me on page, I do not link to the other pages. So again, I go through that in the class. Frequently asked questions. I'm a huge believer in FAQs. I put in the sources so I can tag the sources at the bottom of the content. I typically won't link to these, but I will put the link in there. I just won't hyperlink it out. Here's the meta. I do this mostly for my staff so they know what the slug should be, making sure the chronological is set, all this stuff. Table of contents we don't use anymore, but I didn't stop it from the content engine to do it, just because I know other people that use this tool already do table of contents, so it's there. I also have internal link suggestions. I'm a stickler with internal linking. If you ever see me teach this, it's the most important ranking factor in my opinion. Image description, so title, description, and alt tag, and then image prompts. So these image prompts I use all the time. So I'll take these image prompts and I'll throw it into the image generator, and I'll show you that here in a second. So video prompts, my image tool also does short videos. I'm still working on fine tuning that, but it still works out pretty cool. And then you get into the FAQ schema. It's already copy and paste ready to go. Here's the service schema. And here's the local business schema. So because it's a local page. So the schema is already generated. It tells you what the content score is. I'm a B or A. If it's a C, I need to find out, is the density wrong? Maybe my reading ease is too high, which is a thing. All the different things that I want to do. And then I have every single piece of content as a checklist. So everything gets checked before the content's put out. Key takeaways are there. The word count's 2,805. Reading ease, grade level, which I could probably improve these, obviously. On page, technical, and kind of SERP preview. So anyway, so that's the basics of the content tool. So really, really cool tool. Okay, so here's the image tool now. So we would take that prompt, or you don't even need a prompt to do this. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to show you the clients, obviously, and everything. But once you choose the client, again, it's just set up, on the client details. I've got the brand colors. I've got the logo. I've got the CTAs. I've got the NAP. I've got everything I need to generate multiple different types of images. Okay, and this system will tell you the NAP's available and CTA is available and which one it's using. I have a couple different AI models, just like the content machine. The content machine uses different, I've got Claude and ChatGPT you can select from with dropdown. Right now, I think I think Claude is the default. And the image one is the same way. So I have Imagen 4.0 Ultra is the default, but you could change it to Nano Banana, Seed Stream, whatever. You can include the logo, the NAP, the CTA, the watermark, title, branded frame. Branded frame is just like what it says. So there we go. I can check the do I want small, medium, large, or extra large, and I can customize it. An image with the branded frame would look something like this. So this is the branded frame. So it has the CTA and whatever you have down here. Have the NAP, the logo, and then this is the title of the blog. So we typically will do frames on blogs and non-frames on non-blogs. So I've got, these are ones that's just, they just come up, it's just logo only. I can also take and put all my personal images up there, and I can brand those. I can watermark them. I can do all kinds of stuff. So once I get to figure out which I want to do as far as the model, then I come down here and generate. I can compare models, so I can compare up to 3 models, and that's typically what we do to a brand new client. You'll be amazed how much difference a nano would look for, say, a med spa client compared to, a seed stream would look for a roofer. So we compare typically at the beginning, and then we'll go in and set the default for that client. It doesn't mean we can't change it. It's just set as a default. Image to image is just these are the images that I can upload from the client. So I have clients that'll give me 100 images. I'll load 100 images up here, and then now I'm selecting their images for our output. Still with the branded frame, logo, watermark, whatever. I can do in batch. I can do 20 images at once. I do blogs in clusters. So my content tool, if it comes up with 6 blogs in a cluster, I'll get all 6 outputs for images, and I can do 6 images at once, all at difference. And then the contextual images, which this one's is kind of new and playing with. I can also do images for social media. This is one of the main reasons I built this. I used to have to go to places like, Fiverr or Legit. Legit was who I'd usually use, and I'd buy different Facebook size images. I'd buy different, LinkedIn size images, and so I wanted something that I could select, and if I wanted all the different images for Facebook, if I wanted all the different images for the Facebook ads, Instagram, so and I can select them all, so I can make 40 different images in the 40 different sizes that all the different social medias need to see it in. So that's a big thing I wanted to see. I can do it by keyword, or I can do it by full prompt. I have a short label, which can be it's decided how it's in the file manager. And then I can put a negative prompt in. Negative prompts are really, really super important. And I go through that in the prompting class in the university. But it's pretty cool. So it does come out with some different images. I can come out and do different things. Come out and do different, types of stuff. This is all different depending on the prompt. This is a client portal expectations in 2026, all for my software development side. But it does get really fun. I think we've done 700 or 800 images in the past few months. But it is a very cool tool. And then we have the audit tool. So the third level gets the audit tool and the schema tool plus the other two. And that's all it is. It's just on-page audit tool. And one of the cool things is that, it'll audit everything, and then you can do all kinds of stuff within it. So for instance, this is the Salterra one. I don't remember how old, but it'll come up and it'll give you all the titles and metas. And you can come up and you can see if, do they pass these different things. I can adjust the columns. Obviously, I can get the chronological and, robots.txt and the favicon. I can do all this stuff through the different columns. All the H tags, right now I just have it set to show the H1, and then what score it gives it. The score is interesting because the score, one of the things I'm changing in this is because it's really on the Google, number of characters. So if it's over 60 characters, it actually dings you. Well, in our testing and a lot of people's testing, that doesn't actually relate to the way it actually works. If you have 100 characters over, 40 characters over, we have not seen that be a negative at all. So this will be changing, obviously. But, it just gives you an idea of all the different H1s. Internal links, this is the big character that I wanted. So internal links, as you know, if you've ever seen me, I'm a huge believer in, but they've got to be correct. It's also the big reason I see websites go downward is because their internal links are bad. They're either over optimized, or they're pointed to a broken page, or they're pointed to a 301 redirect or whatever. So, and this is something that I can even, this is an area that I can go out and just rescan links, because this is one of the first things we do in the first 30 days is we do a link audit and we go out and fix all the internal links. So after my staff gets done, after 2 or 3 days of fixing links, I can rerun just this report and I can get a new report that's coming up. So it's a very, very powerful system. Images, it'll go out and read the images. It'll do all that stuff. It'll bring back the title and all that stuff. Especially the ones that we want to make sure we're seeing. I still have a whole bunch of images that don't have titles and descriptions from years ago, before it was even a big thing. I remember 4 or 5 years ago, I used to teach people to no index images. Obviously, that's a bad thing nowadays. So then you can get into the schema. The schema is very, very basic. It just kind of tells you what schema is there, just because I have a whole different schema system. So I didn't want to spend too much time here, but it will show you. It'll go into page speed, but you have to have it connected to Search Console. This one right now is not connected. but my other clients are. So once it's connected, it gives you all the stuff from Search Console. Link map, kind of just gives you, is your link healthy? Is your whole facility need work? Where do we need to concentrate? All that stuff, all the different anchor texts that I've used. These are all internal links, by the way. And so nothing's external. So I'm not playing with Ahrefs or SEMrush or any of that type of stuff. It'll also get into a lot more stuff, technical SEO previews, all that stuff. So I'm not going to get too deep into it just because it is a very cool tool. It's very, very handy. The people that are outside of Salterra that have used it just love it. And there's also a reporting system for clients and stuff like that. And then we have the schema generator. So the schema generator, obviously I've been teaching schema for 9 years. But this thing is schema my way. So there's other schema generators out there. You can generate schema from AI, but this is generated with my training, my schema that I teach, how to just connect different things together that AI might not, might glance over or whatever. But you also get access to this. So it's a very, very, I would say expensive tool just because of all the stuff that we do with it. A lot of people hire me to do schema, and I built this to help us do that. So, but it's a very cool tool. You can audit the text from your URL or your competitors. You can audit one, you can auto detect or audit. You can view the schema connections, which is a visual thing, which is one of my favorite parts. And then you can just go through the guided wizard. If you don't have schema on the website, you go through the wizard and it'll output some schema for you, which would be awesome. So anyways, so that's a little bit about the university. Thank you for taking interest in, even looking at it. If you have questions, please reach out and talk to me and tell me. But this is very exciting for us. And I really hope you take advantage of it. Thank you.